Welcome to the Duke Trap Studios, home of the Keystone Experience. Brought to you by Creek Archery. Find your passion, then hunt it down. Hillview Motors. Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram. Remember, Hillview has it. Welcome to the Keystone Experience. We got a special guest with us today, Mr. Phillip Vanderpool. What's going on, buddy?
Well, I'm just hanging in there like a hair on a honey jar today. Been up since early, but I'm all comfortable. Just don't let me fall asleep in this recliner.
This whole technology thing here is like really kind of a pain in the butt.
You reckon?
Yeah, I can't figure none of this out. This is what happens when you give a redneck a soundboard and tell him, here, go at it.
Well, I need to go get my grandbaby girl. They'd have me all fixed up.
So what are you up to, buddy?
Well, obviously just kind of getting ready for turkey season, kind of getting things lined out. You know, NWTF was a slam dunk there this year with the 25th anniversary there for Woodhaven in Nashville. And then now I'm getting ready to leave out Wednesday. I actually got an invite from Mr. Bill Sugg, who is the president of Mossy Oak, to go down to the Mossy Oak store. He wants me to come down and hang out with him, and going to give me a big tour and a little one-on-one. I've looked forward to that, and with him, and then we may plan a turkey hunt together sometime, and that's a big honor for me because Bill is really the guy that's helped put Mossy Oak on the map, even though they didn't need a lot of help. But at the same time, then I go from there on down and to the Woodhaven facility and hang out with Mike there. We got some things to discuss Thursday and Friday. And then Saturday, I'm headed down to Jackson, Georgia to do a wild game dinner where it's basically they expect a big crowd, and I look forward to it because that's where we, obviously talk hunting and stuff there, but when it comes right down to it, I kind of give my testimony and tell everyone my love for Jesus Christ and how he has really helped me in this hunting industry. I mean, if it hadn't been for our God and his son, Jesus, I don't know how I could have made it this far in this industry, to be truthful.
You'll be hitting it just right then. Turkey season will be getting kicked off, and Mossy Oak, I'll tell you what, that's my favorite camo right there. That's all I've worn since I started hunting.
Well, I've been so blessed to be in the industry and work with, Bill and Tyler there at Realtree, and I've had a relationship with them forever, but have also now developed a really good relationship with Mossy Oak. And, I think a guy almost has to be sometimes unbiased in this situation. We know so many different people, in the industry and stuff, and I thank the world of both companies and the people that work for them, and what they've accomplished. Because both of them started in 1986. They've been around a while, and I imagine they'll be around a while longer. But that being said, turkey season, I think Mike and them I was supposed to go, but I have got so much to do. I was supposed to be in Florida March 1st, but then we are going to, and then go directly from Florida to the Des Moines, Iowa, there to the Iowa Deer Classic. And we're going to have a booth set up there for everyone there with the Woodhaven booth. And I've really looked forward to, seeing everybody there. Over the years, I've done that event several times with John Bungie, who's kind of the owner creator of that. And I really look forward to working with him again there and seeing everybody. And thank the Lindsays. David and Jeff Lindsay and myself are actually going to combine and do a seminar together. They've asked me to join them, and I look forward to that because it's about calling big whitetails. And yeah, you know how I love to hunt big whitetails, so it's going to be a very good time. I hate that I'm going to have to miss the Florida trip, but I'm going to be down there in my vehicle. I'm just going to have to turn around and drive back home, and then drive up, to Des Moines from the house here. So it's going to be a crazy time for sure.
Yeah, you always got a full plate when you're out doing what you do.
Well, yeah, you're right.
Most people, I don't think, would be able to make it doing what you do.
Well, I tell you, April 6th, I'll be 65 years old. So time is, getting up on me, and I've got to enjoy this for as long as I can. That's the way I look at this. Somebody asked me the other day, when you're going to retire, and I said, my goodness, that's not even in my vocabulary. As long as I'm able to get up and get out and get around, I will always be out there. And you know how I am about kids and wounded veterans and taking other people, and my little buddy like Nick that with Down syndrome and stuff. That's, to me anymore, that's what it's all about, is putting a smile on somebody else's face. And I love to, obviously I love to shoot turkeys. And now that Rhonda's got started in on the turkey and the deer hunting full blast, I got to make sure that old number one gets the opportunity. For sure.
Yeah. She's been putting a hurting on them.
I tell you what, deer and turkey, she just don't miss. I don't know. I can't say all women are like that, but I'm telling you what, she's as cold as ice, and it's just, she knows how to get it done. It's amazing. She's just self-videoed that big deer she shot in Kansas this year in late season. I basically, went in earlier and set the blind and stuff up, but Donovan and I picked a spot out way back in late summer, and put the blind up in an old right-of-way there and stuff, but set her up, put the final rest, out there for her crossbow to set it in there. And then I set up a 4K video camera, and I put it on the tripod, and I just told her, I said, just leave it wide. I've got it framed perfectly. Do not worry about anything. You just worry about the deer coming in, making the shot. All you have to do is hit record on that camera. And I'm going to tell you, she done an incredible job. We got does coming in. She had 2 or 3 batches of does come through throughout the day, and then later that evening, 5 does come up through there, and this big buck come right down, and he's bumping the does around. He stops, hesitates. You see him go out of frame, and then all of a sudden he dumps back in the frame, and clunk, down he goes. And so it's all on video, and she done it herself. I'm really proud of her.
Well, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good deer. Big old mature, big buck. I think we think he's still 7, 8 years old deer. This big mature deer. She's
taken some pretty good ones in the last couple of years that she's just got into this.
Yeah, she has, especially up there. I think she's, Lord, I don't know how many she shot here on our place here in Arkansas. Nothing huge, but nice deer for our area. Just decent bucks, good 8 points and stuff there. But Kansas now, she shot 3 really good ones. 150 class or better. Of course, B3, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago, he's like 160, and this one this year was he's mid. I think he was mid-50s, maybe a little more than that. But he had a couple times broke, just because his late season. He had a couple times partially broken anyway, but just a big old mature deer. Yeah. Yeah, incredible. Done it with a crossbow, too,
You've been with her for most of them, haven't you?
Oh, yeah. That's the only one she's ever done by herself. But, I went in that day and, set everything up for her, and then I was hunting an absolute mega giant, and we both knew what we were trying to do, and we almost did it. We were trying to both take our hit listers on the same day. And, of course, she got up there. She's a one-day Johnny. I've been up there. I videoed 6 different kills there at Donovan's this year, and Dan, my buddy that I just lost with cancer, his grandson, I videoed him up there, and then another little boy that's 7 years old. These are all crossbow kills. And then Chris Allison killed a nice deer, and his buddy Dickie. I filmed a lot of that stuff, and of course Rhonda, and we just had a blast up there this year. And but this is the first year that I've not ever killed a deer with my bow since I started bow hunting back in 1980.
Wow.
I never pulled my bow back this year. I shot a good deer in Iowa, but I shot him during the shotgun season. I shot that with a full 450 Bushmaster. That's the first deer on professional video that I've ever shot with a what I call a rifle. Even though Iowa allows them now to be used in their shotgun season, like the 350 Legend, the 450 Bushmaster, with that straight wall cartridge. And it's kind of opened up some doors, but I shot a really nice 10-point up there and had a great hunt with that. And then my old buddy Chuck Jones come up and helped video for me there, so it worked out pretty good. And but yeah, I probably will put a lot more emphasis in my bow hunting again this year. That's just kind of been my thing. I mean, I love to bow hunt. Don't get me wrong, I love to gun hunt too. It's the first time, and it was exciting for me. I really got a rush out of it. Made a great shot him 165 yards, and so yeah, it was just a really neat hunt. But I'm hunting a deer. If I get the opportunity to get an arrow in him, I had 4 different encounters with him in Kansas. And thanks to Donovan that set me up with this new spot that he really got for himself, because he don't hunt any of his leases, and it's about an hour, 15 minutes, hour and 30 minutes from the lodge, and it's pretty good out of the ways. But he brought me in there to hunt it with him because he wasn't going to be able to hunt it, and we were on a world class deer, and hopefully he's still there. He's a mega giant, and he was there on December 27th, the night Rhonda shot her buck. The buck that we call Big Deal. That was what we nicknamed her buck. And I was hunting a buck that I nicknamed Trump, the mega buck. And it's kind of quite a story on him, because Donovan and I went in there on November the 6th, which was the day that we found out that Trump won the election. And that is also mine and Rhonda's anniversary, and that is also Donovan's birthday. So November 6th is kind of and what's so ironic is I have never shot a giant. I mean, I think on every other day in November I've shot big deer, but I don't know what it is. November 6th has always eluded me. I don't think I've ever taken one. I've videoed some hunts, but for me personally, I've never shot a big deer on November 6th. And I have the 5th, the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, on up. I mean, all the way pretty much through the whole month of November, I've shot a big deer, just pretty much on every one of those days. Like November the 9th, I think I shot 5 big deer on 4 Pope and Youngs and 1 Booner, which was on public land. And but November 9th is, and then November the 18th is. Those are my 2 probably favorite days that I've like I say, that I've shot multiple deer on. So that November 18th has been a very special day for sure. But anyway, that's the day we saw Trump. We went in there to set up, Donovan and I, to scout the property, because a guy had been running his cattle on it, and he was supposed to have them out November 1st, but one of the calves got out or something. He couldn't find it, and he spent 4 or 5 days trying to round up the calf, and finally, I guess, did, and we went in there on November 6th. That's when we saw, and I videoed him. I mean, he's chasing it up. We bumped him out of a cedar thicket as we drove in beside to kind of look at the property. We had never stepped foot on it yet. So anyway, long story short, I chased that deer there, spent pretty much, I can't tell you how many bucks I passed this year, like 150 class deer, trying to get Trump, because he's a 200 class typical. He's just an incredible deer, and hopefully I saw him on December 27th. That was my last encounter, so hopefully he got through the archery season and the whole season in 2024, and I'm looking forward to trying to get on him in 2025. It may not happen. Hopefully, everything works out and get to hunt him again. It'd be pretty special. Just getting him on video, something else. I'll have quite the story on that deer.
Yeah, an animal like that.
I really look forward to 2025. I feel like it's going to be a special year for big deer. I've got several good hunts already going to, hopefully be lined up, and I feel like I'm going to really try to capitalize and spend more time back, doing what I love to do while I can do it. I'll try to make couple hunts there. I mean, obviously Nick. I'll always take Nick, my little buddy with Down syndrome. Boy, we had a great hunt last fall. My goodness, he got a really nice buck there in Kansas, and it turned out awesome. And it went right down to. I'll tell you how my hunting stories go. Nick shot his buck on the very last day, the last 15 minutes of the hunt. And we got the buck, and it started raining on us. And the recovery's a little hideous just because of all the rain, but we had such an awesome time. And then his dad, Gary, shot an incredible 8-point. I'm talking like 168 point or better. Just a mega giant deer. And they both got to take them on the last day of their hunt, last evening of the hunt. So that was pretty special. But, man, turkeys, I'm going to change it up now to turkeys because spring season's here, and, I always look forward. And here's the crazy thing. My camera went off this morning. I looked, and there's 3 big old strutters on there. And I haven't seen any turkeys much around, in my area in a while. But sure enough, right there in front of my camera, right there, there's just this beautiful logging road that we call Memory Lane that's on our property. And I tell you what, 3 of them big old rascals, of course, they've got hens with them. They're starting to kind of bunch up a little bit and get them hens, starting to kick in a little bit because we've had cold weather, Rob. When I say cold, in my area here in the Ozarks, I think we had like 6 inches of snow, which is pretty much all melted off. But, man, we had minus 20 below zero with the wind chills here for 3 days in a row.
That's crazy.
Yes, I know. And I'm just telling you, buddy, she's been rough. And, I haven't hunted here not one time, and Rhonda didn't either. We just haven't had any bucks at all with any size to them, and we try to let these young ones go, but I think, all the neighbors don't agree with that, so I think they popping them, But the turkeys, we're starting. We've had a decent hatch last year and this year, just enough that they're starting to come back. I'll tell you what, our turkey population was just nearly gone here. I mean, and we haven't. I took the last turkey I took right here around close to home here was in 2016, and then Rhonda took a gobbler last year on our place, first one that we've ever taken. And I videoed her, and it was a big old, he was a dandy. He was the only longbeard that we knew of in the area, and by golly, it was an evening hunt, and I yipped him up for her, and it's awesome. He come into the decoys, come into our little old hidden food plot. It was just off the charts, man. We had such a good time doing that, and pretty special little hunt,
My buck this year with the...
Yeah, I saw that, man. That's a good deer for you, old PA buck, right?
Yeah, with a flintlock. We seen that buck one time during archery season. My buddy Alex had him at 40 yards and couldn't get a shot at him. So, I hunted him and waited and waited and waited and waited. And it come down to the last week of muzzleloader season. All them nights we had where it was down -7, -10, I was out there hunting for the last hour of daylight,
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And he finally showed himself, and I took a shot at him at 78 yards with the flintlock.
Buddy, that's a good shot now for a flintlock, buddy. Yeah.
And I heard that watermelon thump.
Yep.
And the blind filled up with smoke.
I bet it did.
I had no idea what deer was what. There was tails running everywhere. And I didn't bring gloves. I didn't bring an extra load,
Oh, boy,
I walked all the way down to the truck, loaded the gun again. I walked back up where I started looking. I couldn't find blood. And then I started to panic because I shoot a patch round ball. So
yeah.
I was starting to really get nervous that I couldn't find no blood. And it started.
No, that's what happens with that type of that round ball load. You know, it's hard to find blood, seem like.
I couldn't find nothing. I started looking around. It got dark, and I still forgot to bring my headlamp up with me, so I'm stumbling around up there in the weeds, and I kind of tripped. And when I looked down, I tripped over his antlers.
Well, there you go. At least you didn't fall on them.
Yeah. Yeah, so it was the biggest buck I've ever killed, and it was my grandfather's flintlock, so.
Oh, man, that's gotta be special, brother.
Yeah, and I told my wife, I said, because I'm going to do a pedestal mount on him, the flintlock is going to go in the mount, and it's never going to be used again.
Yeah. That's kind of what I did with my dad's shotgun on the last turkey I shot here at home. And I said 2016. It was actually 2017. It was 25. And I used Dad's old Sweet 16. It's actually a Remington 1100. He just always called it the Sweet 16. And my goodness, that gun shot. I hunted it as a boy. I've killed deer and turkey and everything in the world with it, you know. But when I lost my dad in 1992, which that would have been the 25th year anniversary, you know, that I'd lost him, I decided to pull that gun out because I hadn't never used it since I lost Dad. I just had it hung up. So I cleaned the gun up, went out and patterned it. I had one day to hunt, which was on April the 16th, I think it was. That was my daddy's birthday, okay?
Okay.
And Dad's birthday was April 16th, and it was on Easter Sunday. And that year happened to fall on Easter Sunday, and that was the only day that I had. So I prayed about it and got up there, and this was on the property next to what Ron and I own now. We just got a road separating it, which is a right of way for both of us, me and Rick, my neighbor there. And anyway, long story short, had one day, and I shot the gun. Of course, that old gun, it's one of them that it's right on the money. I mean, the literally hits right wherever you put the bead. And, of course, I checked it at 10 yards and then shot it at 40. And, man, I mean, you know, the pattern's all there. So we went out Sunday morning, got in there, and never heard nothing. It's getting up there 10:30, 11 o'clock, and I've been sitting there calling. And I was kind of set up in this, my neighbor's kind of a little food plot, if you will, a little field. Had the decoy out there, DSD decoys and stuff. And I just about give up. And I told Colton, who was helping me video, I was videoing as well. I had cameras running too, but he was videoing back behind me there. And I told him, I said, I'm going to grab my box call. I'm going to make one more loop. I'm just going to walk out there. It's about 100 yards probably at the end of the food plot or somewhere in that neighborhood. And I just told him, I said, I'm going to walk around the edge of it because we're up high and everything down below us, you know, calling off into the canyon there. And in this mountainous country here, and I yelped on that call, and I cut hard. I cut, and I stopped again, and the wind is really starting to pick up. And I said, man, was that a turkey gobble? So I sat there a minute. I thought I better give it just a little bit to see, you know, maybe he's coming closer, or maybe he'll face me now where I can hear him better or something. Buddy, I cut on that call, went into a yelp. When I did that son of a gun gobble, and he was already halfway to me. I had to hear the turkey gobble. So I was running as hard as I could to get back and get set up. And, man, it's one of the most beautiful hunts and shows that I've ever seen. The wind by now is really howling. And the first thing he done when he popped up, he's in full strut, obviously, coming up through there, and he's locked on the decoys. And the wind is blowing so hard, he can't hardly even strut because it's about to blow him over. But he finally gets up there. And I only have the decoys set out on purpose because I wanted to get him close. And I had the decoys set about 8 yards out there, 8 good long steps, and had him set up. And he come in, and he put on a show, and he was up on top of the Jake, actually, and I took him, and I tell you, being there, shooting it with my dad's 16 gauge, and then shooting the turkey off the decoy, made a perfect headshot, just like you want, and captured it all in video. I got all the slow motion myself, and then Colton on the big 4K camera caught it all too, and the POV camera I had on me is all live. Had that all. It's just one of the most, and I swear it's just like my daddy was there, and like I say, being Easter Sunday, and it was so special. And then Rhonda this year took her gobbler just across, just on the other side, on our actually on her property. So, a little special place right there. And my daughter shot a turkey out of that same spot too when she was like 10 years old. Took her up there to that spot. So it's been good to us over the years, but our turkey population went down to nothing. But I think we may have one or two, hopefully, to hunt this year. And I may take my granddaughter. I probably won't get to shoot one because I'm outnumbered. You know how that is. But if I get Rhonda or my granddaughter, it's one of them to take a gobbler, that would just mean the world to me. Way more than if I shot it.
Right.
So it'd be, yeah. It's that's what it's about for me. I tell you what, especially when you take a kid and they enjoy it, or somebody, especially like a wounded warrior, or one of our veterans that's don't have that luxury of being able to get out here every day like we do. So when you take somebody like that, or a special needs kid or something, it just means so much more. To me, just because I know how much they enjoy it, and what I take for granted 365 days out of the year, that's probably one of their best days of the whole year that they have, and I really, really want to make it special for them, in that case.
Do you know what caused the loss of so many birds in your area?
I don't know. I think I think it's a combination of several things. I mean, obviously predators, but even before that, we had ice storm. We had two big ice storms, but the last one we had, I think, was in 2009. And we were without electricity here for about 3 weeks, and we had ice. It was ice. And the animals, I think the turkeys couldn't. I think they starved to death because I don't think there was anything for them to eat because everything was froze over. It broke our timber all to pieces. I mean, our big trees and stuff. It was unlike anything you ever seen in your life. And I think that was the starting of it. And I probably liberal hunting seasons. Maybe too many turkeys killed and too liberal seasons for a little while there, and then boom, we have the ice storms, and then our predator populations got completely out of control. But my hat goes off to the Arkansas Game and Fish here because they've taken care of that. We're allowed to hunt predators year round, day or night. So we can. A lot of these guys are taking advantage and taking those coyotes and coons. How bad they are, and they're just completely out of control. When you're getting 15, 20 coons in a trail camera picture, you got a problem.
Yeah.
Because you're probably only seeing about a tenth of them. Right. Right. It's crazy. Now, I feel like the guys around here have done a pretty good job. One of my neighbors told me that his boys were trapping, I think maybe setting snares, and they caught like 28 coyotes. Let me tell you something. 28 coyotes, that's going to take care of a lot of problems.
Yes, it will.
If they continue to do that, we still have coyotes, but I don't see them. And now I see bobcats quite a bit on my trail cameras. I run them year round, and I see more. And them, I'm gonna tell you something. Them bobcats, now they can slip up on and catch them turkeys. They don't think they can. But I think between that, the weather, we've had some pretty wet springs 2 or 3 years in a row. It seemed like right during when the turkeys were nesting and, possibly about ready to hatch and stuff. And I think that may have affected them some too. So I think it's really a combination of a lot of things. But I will tell you this last year, everywhere I went, everybody I talked to, in all the different states that I get to go to, I think that we had one of the best hatches all over the country that we've ever had. I'm telling you, I mean, from Nebraska, Missouri, Montana, places that I hunted, Arkansas, I think Oklahoma had a pretty good hatch from talking to everybody. I know that Alabama, Mississippi, the guys I talked to down in that part of the country seemed like that Florida. Overall, really, really, really good hatches from everybody that I've had the opportunity to speak with. And Michigan is another state that I'll be going hunting for the first time this year, and I'll hunt that the first week of June. They have one of the longest seasons there is. And actually going to get to hunt turkeys in June. My buddy Austin Cutright, he's got an incredible place up there. I set Mike and them up. I couldn't go because I had a family reunion this last year, but I set Mike and Isaac and his boys, to all go up there. Chuck Jones and Isaac and Mike Pentecost and Jacob, they all went up there, and there was 5 of them that hunted, and they all shot their gobblers. I think they were done in like 2.5 days, and that's at the end of season. Oh. Them boys had, I think what but now Michigan does it right. They've got 1 gobbler limit. That's what we got to think about with the hunting pressures, and until we get these predators lined out and stuff and start really overpopulating again, which I don't know if that's ever going to happen like it did, back. But hunting pressure can be pretty rough on them, and what happens, I think, is when you have multiple turkeys taken in a state, if you take a couple years with bad hatches and then combine that with the predator situation, and then combine that with the hunting pressure, and these guys getting to shoot 2, 3, 4, whatever the state limit is, buddy, it don't take long to knock that down. And then what happens is, it's sometimes it's too late to do anything about it. It's going to take 2 or 3 years or so to catch back up, and then you're going to have to shut your time, the length of the season, probably, along with cutting down how many turkeys that you're able to take during that time. If multiple gobblers, and I love to hunt them as much as anybody, but I don't know about you, Rob. I want to be able, for my grandkids, to be able to hunt turkeys like I have and experience great hunts and stuff. That's what it means to me, is our future. My goodness. And that's what we got to think about. I don't know, but we got to do a better job taking care of our turkeys. There's no question about it.
Right, we do. They're
and deer. CWD is another thing I've dealt with here in my area, buddy. I'm telling you, our deer population's about wiped out. But and I think what's happened there is, besides the game and fish coming in here and baiting them and shooting, hiring snipers and stuff like that to come in and take care of where the CWD is showed up. The problem is, man, you're killing. There's a lot more deer that don't have it than the deer that have it. And they shoot 300, 400, 500 deer, and only 3 or 4% of the deer have CWD. Well, the one thing I've learned about CWD is if that deer's got it bad enough, none of the other deer's going to have anything to do with it, for one thing. And they stay by themselves. They're poor. They sometimes it's like they can't swallow their saliva. They'll kind of slobber around and stuff like that. And none of the other deer won't have anything to do with them at all. And that's when you need to take that particular deer out of the herd, right then, when you see that problem. And that's the one, but you can't just go in and wipe your deer out, because it takes 10 years for that population to get back even close to where it was at.
Right.
And you're never going to wipe it, See, I don't know. I don't think they know enough about it myself, actually. And there's never been a human being ever tested to have it, CWD. You can eat the meat. We've been eating it here for years.
I read an article or listened to a podcast one day with Ted Nugent on, and he was talking about the state of Colorado has had CWD for 50 years. And nobody knew about it. And they still got huntable populations of elk and whitetail. So,
and deer, or mule deer. Yeah. And let me just say this. The reason we have CWD here in Arkansas is back in the early 80s, they brought all the elk down here on the Buffalo River, which is a national park through here. And that's exactly where CWD originated in our part of the country, is because of the elk. And I have documented footage over the years videoing these deer up and down the river there, because, we can go down and watch them in the summertime and stuff like that. And exactly what I'm telling you, that they may be a bull elk and his old rack will be all jacked up, but he's off to himself over there in La La Land. They always told me it was brainworms. When I questioned them about it, no, that's brainworms. That's brainworms. Well, that brainworms were CWD.
Right.
So, I mean, that's a fact. And I'm telling you, deer communicate with licking branches. They do it year round. You're never going to, they're saying baiting and stuff like that has the effect on CWD. I do not believe that at all. I really don't. I don't think animal deer, cattle, sheep, goats, chickens, hogs, they all eat together and congregate together in their groups and stuff. That's just what they do. And you're never going to be able to keep deer from doing that because they do it through the licking branches. Well, and they go hit a food plot every night. You mean to tell me that one's not going to walk over there where another one just got through eating an hour earlier or whatever? You see what I'm saying?
Right.
You're always going to have them intermingling together. That's never going to be stopped. So I don't know what the answer is, but I don't think they do either. I think they're still guessing at it, and they go wipe all these populations out of all the deer and stuff. And I'll tell you what aggravates me. Okay, for example, say Missouri or Iowa, where they don't allow baiting, during the actual season and stuff. But yet, when they decide that they get a case of CWD, what do? They hire snipers for one thing. There goes our tax money. And they go pay these guys out there, and they do it at night, and they bait them. They feed them up, just exactly what they tell other people not to do.
Exactly.
Now, does that make sense?
No, it does not.
I get wound up on this stuff, so be careful with me.
No, I feel the same way. We put all this time and effort into trying to take care and manage these animals, and then, they come up with something like this. Like ours is the blue tongue,
Yep, that's the same thing, EHD. Yeah.
It's like, what, never heard of this when I was younger. Why all of a sudden is this a thing,
I got to be careful what I say, but I think a lot of this stuff is in the pesticides and all the crops and stuff that's sprayed with and things like that. I think this is all... I don't know. I think it may be a set-up deal myself.
I agree.
Think about your insurance companies. The car insurance companies.
Right.
That's the ones that don't want the deer.
Yeah.
Because all that. And I still feel like there's some things going on behind closed doors on some of that, and maybe I'm talking out of turn, but I've heard some stories from other people as well, so it's just a thought anyway.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you 100%.
Well, and all these farmers and stuff, that I mean, I understand, but if it's regulated right, everybody can benefit from it because these farmers are getting paid good money now for people leasing up their properties and stuff, paying them good money to be able to have, and that's something they get to do. They get a benefit from leasing their property along with the farmers, farming their property, so they can benefit big time from that. But I don't know. I don't know if we'll ever get it all worked out. And there again, you don't want to. I know some of the game and fish and the DNR departments are doing a good job. I'm not saying that, but it's usually the politicians that's making the big decisions, and that's what we got to be careful with because, our hunting rights are always threatened, and that's what we got to be thinking about. We gotta quit bickering and fighting about. Joe Blow hunts with a crossbow. Joe Blow hunts with a muzzleloader. And, this guy hunts with a recurve or a longbow. Listen, we are all hunters. If it's legal, if it's legal in your state, you need to support the hunters. We got to support each other and quit bickering about it. My goodness.
Right. I agree.
And we keep losing numbers. We're going to continue losing numbers, but our social media is just about ruined us. I mean, you can't make a post without somebody just putting on there some kind of slander that's just throwing you under the bus, regardless.
Right.
People are jealous of success. They're naturally lazy for the most part, and a lot of them don't want to get out there and do the work. And I realize a lot of guys don't have the opportunities that some of the other, the hunting industry has, because Joe Blow owns this much property and they can control, the age structure on their deer and manage it. But we shouldn't throw them under the bus. We do the same thing. We had the opportunity. My hat's off to Mark and Terry Drury and Lee and Tiffany and all these folks that have these great places to hunt, but they work their tail off and spend a lot of money. And I do the same thing if I had it. I just got to do it on a smaller scale, way smaller scale. Everything I do, I don't own tractors or anything like that, all the farm equipment that it takes to put in good food plots. I wished I did. But I'm for whatever the hunters want, the majority of the hunters. That's the way I look at it. We got to have each other's back, man.
Yes, we do. This stuff, like you said, bickering has got to stop,
Yep.
There's too much. I see that on social media all the time. Should I have shot this deer? Oh, he's only a 4 point. Well, you know what? If he's legal in your area, shoot him.
That's right. Well, and that's why I say I got, I can't, the only thing sometimes, I wish I could, some of these guys want to kill a bigger deer, they want to shoot a big buck. And the main thing is you got to realize you don't have to impress anybody if you eat a tag.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? If the right one don't come along. But to me, it's more about the hunt. It's about the camaraderie, the experience anymore. And I get as much out of the preparation of making things work as I do the actual hunt itself when I do shoot a big one. And when I shoot a target buck that I know that's almost near impossible, that chase, that challenge that goes with it, it just adds fuel to the fire for me. And that's what I love about it. And as long as I'm able to do it, like I say, as long as it's legal and it makes it, it warms my heart, soothes my soul, I'm going to continue doing what I do and love to do. And I try to help out as many people as I possibly can with what knowledge I've been able to collect. And because I spend a lot of time in the woods.
Yeah, I guess we can say we're lucky that we get to do that.
Absolutely.
I work from 1 o'clock in the morning till noon, and I get to go sit out there and hunt all the time. So,
Well, and that's what I'm saying. And I just, the outdoors and when I'm hunting, that's my therapy. I'm just telling you, I can't tell you. And it's also my way to spend time with God in the outdoors. I spend a lot of time self-videoing and do a lot of things by myself. And I can't tell you how many days that I did all day sits this year. And I'm so glad that I did this because I feel like it helps me both mentally and spiritually. But I get to see a lot just because I spent those extra hours, and I try to video everything I can and have cameras in my hand to document what I'm doing. But it's for the love of the outdoors, man. And I know that I've been very blessed to be able to do this. I guess I don't get rich by no means, but being able to live and love what I do is a true blessing. And I know that I wouldn't be able to do it if it wasn't for Jesus Christ. No doubt. You there?
Yeah, I'm here, buddy. I was trying to look something up. The thing you just did at the...
with the legends?
Yeah. Dan?
Yeah, and his grandson.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I was just looking that up here, and that was pretty cool what you did there, raffling that bow off. And
I'll tell you what a blessing there for everybody to fill in on that. We're at the Legends of the Outdoors Hall of Fame this year, and that's in Springfield, Missouri at Johnny and Jenny Morris Convention Center, which Johnny and Jenny own Bass Pro, and it connects on the back end of it to the Bass Pro there in Springfield. And that's where Gary Mason, the owner and the founder of the Hall of Fame, him and I do the Legends of the Outdoors together, and I still help him with that. And then we also do the Hall of Fame. He's asked me to kind of help him out some with that, and Gary's a great guy, but we were able to induct, Bill Jordan and Will Primos and Bill Cooper and Mike Pentecost this last year and stuff. There was 8 of them all together, and it was a fantastic time. But, Gary allowed me to auction that bow. I had number 6 of 30 of that elite bow. And anyway, I got all the Hall of Famers, past, present, future. I'm talking everybody who was there. There wasn't any more places to sign the bow, honestly. But I took that bow, and I'd only taken it out on a hunt in Oklahoma, and I killed 2 really nice bucks with it, and that's the only time I ever hunted with it. Then I brought it back up because it was the Realtree original pattern on that, and they only made 30 of them, and I had number 6. Well, my buddy Dan, obviously had cancer, and there was no cure. It got into his blood system from, the pancreatic side of it and his liver. But anyway, long story short, we auctioned that bow off, and a gentleman there, Mr. Darrell, bought the bow for $5,000. That's what it brought at the auction, with all the names and stuff on it. And then Bill Jordan and Tyler Jordan from Realtree matched that, so there was $10,000 right there. Then my buddy Chris Allison donated a hunt that he auctioned off, and I think it brought $3,500 or $4,000 there from Missouri, the Knox County Whitetails. But all the proceeds, but getting back to the bow situation, the gentleman, Mr. Darrell, that bought that bow, came up after he bought the bow and gave me the bow back. I don't know if anybody knows that or not, but he gave that bow back to me. Well, here's a bow with all these signatures and stuff. They don't tell them what that bow would be worth or bring now.
Right.
If you put it out there. But here's where it properly belongs. Because Donovan bid $4,500, and his wife Lori said, "Honey, I don't think we can afford it anymore." So, just so you know, I donated that bow back. I mean, I guess it's really still mine, but I put it where it belonged, and that's at Triple H Outfitters. And Charlie, Donovan's brother, and Hilly, they're going to take that and frame it up in glass and hang it in there for all the hunters to see, because they all knew Dan, because Dan helped guide, and he helped get some of the properties Donovan's got and stuff there. But he was a huge part of what Triple H Outfitters is all about and what they do, and Dan is mine and Donovan's best friends. I mean, really, we both love that guy like he was our brother. But we're putting it in that glass, and then we're going to put some photos and stuff there, but everybody can get to see that. And I just lost my buddy Dan I guess it's been about 2 weeks now, a couple weeks ago. He wasn't supposed to live past June. His birthday was in June, but by golly, he made it all the way into February there, and I think February 7th we lost him. But he was a guy with a huge heart, and I was able to take his grandson and get his first gobbler, and we got that hunt posted up, and Dan wasn't there when he shot his turkey, but he was coming back from getting his treatments, his cancer treatments, coming back in, him and Stephanie, his wife, and they drove right into the blind, was able to drive right all the way down to us. We hadn't even recovered the bird yet. So it's a really heart-touching. And then we shot the final piece there at the Legends of the Hall of Fame there. We shot a piece on it because we surprised Clayton, giving the folks up there in Sam Gaylord, Old Barn Taxidermy, him and his wife Linda, had that they mounted that gobbler and for this occasion, and I'll always be grateful of them. And my buddy Dave Jones set me up with that. Dave is also a taxidermist, but he said Sam and his crew will do a better job on turkeys, and so they did that, and I presented it to Clayton there, and it was really rewarding and heart touching, and I'm very grateful for Gary Mason to allow me to do it. But he also got to be good friends with Dan when we were out there waterfowl hunting in Kansas as well. So he got to know him, and it was just very special, heart touching. I can't even begin to tell you what it has done for me inside me and to make me a better person.
Yeah, I watched the presentation on Carbon TV.
Sure. Uh-huh.
I was watching that this afternoon before we started talking here, and it was pretty interesting. Kind of got me tearing up, watching it there.
I guarantee you. Well, if you'd been there, that wasn't a dry.
His grandson get that turkey, that was a pretty cool one too.
Really good. Well, we still got one more. I was able to tell you how the good Lord works, and people don't believe in miracles sometimes. I was down to the last day, the last 10 minutes of the hunt. I had to leave the next morning, and Clayton and I had hunted our hind ends off trying to get one shot with that crossbow, and me video him shoot a nice buck this year. And to be honest with you, he shot a giant that we didn't get, and it looked like a gut shot. But I want to tell you something. That deer has showed back up and got that on camera, and got that. You see clearly where he was shot and how the deer made it. I'll have no idea, but my buddy Scott Gauthier let us hunt his place and the one buck that Scott was honestly was wanting to save because he thought he was only 3, but this deer's 155 plus inch deer, maybe more. And that come in at 3:30. We had just gotten the blind. We had 2.5 hours of daylight left, and we get there and it's real windy, and it comes in and Clayton shot him. And man, we spent 2 days with dogs in there. We looked. I mean, I can't tell you, and we never did find it. And that son of a gun has showed back up, and he was hit low. It had to be right there. I don't know how the deer lived. I swear I don't. But there again, I know the good Lord, I believe in miracles, but that deer is meant for Scott, hopefully, to take this fall. And I hope he grows a better rack than what he did. I think he got through that because you can clearly see the little holes on both sides because he's got him on camera. I know that's him. But on the last day, the last 10 minutes of the hunt, and I had to leave the next morning, that boy shot a nice buck, and I tell you what, talk about and we were there to get the recovery the next morning. Actually, we kind of saved that for Dan where he could get up and he put his camo on and orange and stuff, even though he wasn't in the blind with us. But we got photos and just it's going to make a really, really, really good hunt for the show. And I can't wait for y'all to see it because it's pretty special, and I think I'm going to be able to show him shooting that other buck down that he lived, because we were heartbroken. Like I say, had a guy come down twice, bring his dogs down and try to, track it up. We never could. We found beds, and I got him bedding down and everything out of the blind. I mean, I thought he was going to be done, but
right.
Anyway, I think it worked out. We shot the buck right there on Dan's place, right behind his house, and it's a blind that I've shot. I've shot a 202, a 175, a 160, My wife shot her first buck out of that blind, and Dan, get this, Dan's son-in-law this year. I'll have to tell that story sometime. His son-in-law shot a deer out of it that went 211.
Wow.
It's just one of those little 6-acre pieces. It got the right pinch point, but Dan's grandson taking that deer is just very, 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 very special to me. I mean, that's how the good Lord works. I swear, when you think, you just got to have patience and pray about it, and it can make a big difference. I'm a firm believer when you do good things for other people and help them, you're rewarded, and that's the way I really, really feel about this. Because it just seems to me, I can't tell you how many times it always comes down to the last day, the last few minutes of a particular hunt, and I'm blessed. Been blessed either behind the camera or in front of the camera. But yeah, all good stuff, buddy. All good stuff, and like I say, I give God all the glory.
Well, buddy, it's been an hour and almost 20 minutes now. So
okay,
I'm gonna let you go because you've been up all evening, and I appreciate you coming on here. If you want to let everybody know how they can find you.
Well, I'll tell you the best way to find this old Ozark Mountain hillbilly, crazy old turkey hunting, deer hunting thug, I guess. No, yeah, I'll tell you what, you can find me, of course, on social media. Phillip Vanderpool or The Virtue, and you're going to find a lot of my content and stuff now probably in the future on Woodhaven Custom Calls, Woodhaven brand, and you'll see a lot of my stuff on YouTube with Woodhaven, and then I'll continue to have The Virtue, the Woodhaven Way on YouTube and Carbon TV now. I guess, I've been on Carbon. I think I'm the longest running show on Carbon now.
I'm pretty sure you are.
And I'm pretty blessed with that. And so anyway, I just appreciate all the support from everybody. And I want everybody to have success this spring and be safe and be successful. But, and also, take a kid hunting. That way you won't never have to be hunting for your kids,
That's right.
Get them out in the outdoors, and I'll tell you, the younger, the one thing I have to tell you, even if you don't feel like they're old enough to hunt, maybe just take them with them, and if they got to lay in a blind or something, make it comfortable for them, and just get them out there and show them. But I'll tell you, it warms the heart and soothes the soul when you do something good and you put a smile on a kid's face and put a turkey call in their hand or an owl hooter or a crow call or something. Let them have fun with it. Yep. While you're out there. Don't put so much pressure on them that, that's the one thing I've learned is I talk to kids when I've got them obviously we're going to talk about Jesus, but at the same time, we're going to talk about the outdoors. We're going to talk about that was a crow, that was a cardinal, that was a turkey, that was an owl hooting. I try to inform them, and I call it the EIEIO. Old MacDonald had a farm. You remember that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you entertain, inspire, educate, inform often. EIEIO, buddy.
Yes, sir.
That's what you do, and I'm just telling you, when you do that, it will come back around, and I'm just telling you, it makes you a better person. It makes you feel much better about yourself when you do something good for somebody else. And that's the one thing, if I had to tell you, but. And when you get them out there, I always tell them kids to wish often, dream big.
Yep.
I've had that saying ever since I started with HS. I don't know how many years ago when I first got in the hunting industry, but that's always been my saying is that when I sign somebody, a hat or whatever, if I've got enough room to sign something, I always put on there, wish often, dream big.
Well, buddy, and I appreciate you and everything you've done to help me through this, and we will get a video one here soon as I figure this stuff out.
Okay, buddy, and that sounds good. And Rob, I'm just going to leave everybody with this, and it's the Virtue Hunt prayer.
Yes, sir.
And it goes like this: Dear Lord, guide my spirit straight and true, so that we may always give the glory to you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. That'll do it for this episode of the Keystone Experience. Head over and check out these sponsors. Apparition Scent, Chico Outdoors Incorporated, Back 40 Seed Company, Gearhead Archery, Forget Genetics, Trapline Beard Oil Company, Weeby Knives, Wreck Broadheads, Coon Creek Trappers, Wilson's Wildlife Solutions Baits and Lures, Redline Bow Hunting, Rack and Stick, Scout Tech, XL Construction and Renovations LLC, Warhead Aero Companies. Check us out on Carbon TV. Listen to us on the Outdoor Call radio app.